Hello, welcome to Record Time. Record Time is a weekly Akashic experience where we explore simple and mysterious themes through the lens of the Akashic Records. My name is Mina. I'm so happy to be here with you, and I'm excited to see what the keepers of the Akashic Records have to offer us this week. So I invite you to take a moment to relax. If it's safe and if you're able to, you can close your eyes as I tune in to the message for this week. What if play was your purpose? What if pleasure was your duty? What if your greatest act of service to yourself and others was fiercely tending to your own joy? How would that change how you relate to those things? This is such a playful and in some ways it feels radical and almost taboo of a perspective. The records are inviting us to consider what would it be like if your sacred service was fiercely tending to your own joy. Joy not meaning radiant, exuberant happiness, but your capacity to feel good and be present with what is, to be in relationship with what is here. If you feel called to, just pause it here and just sit with that as it is. I welcome you to do that. But we will also dive in a little bit deeper. So the imagery and the phrase I keep getting actually is tack up joy, tacking up with joy. And when they said that, I'm like, what is tacking up? The only thing I know, the only time I've heard tack up is like with a horse. Like if you've ridden a horse before, they might say like tack up the horse and tack down the horse. Like tacking up, like putting the saddle on it and like all the other stuff. Like I almost said the like bridle on it, like getting the horse all tacked up with its gear ready to ride it. And they're saying tack up with joy. And they don't mean joyfully get your horse ready to go, although you can do that if that's applicable, but metaphorically, what they're saying. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm just tickled by how odd this like imagery is. It's pretty fun. But they're saying if you were going on a journey, if you were going somewhere, if you knew you were about to ride off on a horse on a quest, going off somewhere, what would you take with you? And would you remember to tack up with joy? Would you remember to pack the saddlebags with joy? So that way you are resourced with the things that help keep you joyful on your journey. What would that even look like? And this entire lens that they're offering us is not as trite as it might sound, where it's like, it's your job to be happy. That's not what they're saying. But they're saying if you knew something was coming, if you knew you had a quest ahead of you, if you knew you had a long journey ahead of you, And there would be life involved in that. There would be ups and downs. There would be, unknowns. What would you take with you? And if you knew you were going on a quest and the purpose, your service on this quest was to stay in relationship, to stay in contact with your capacity to feel good and stay present with what is, how would you resource yourself? What would you take with you in order to stay connected to joy if that was your duty, if that was your job, if that was your service? What would you put in your backpack? What would you tack up the horse with? What would you carry with you if your primary intention was to stay connected to your capacity to feel good no matter what happens? This is an invitation to look at pleasure and joy not as a luxury, but as a necessity. Something that is vital, that keeps you vital. Something that is intrinsically linked to your own sense of vitality, aliveness, overall well-being. And though this is playful, this feels important. It feels really important to be sitting with this inquiry, to be sitting inside this question, to give yourself a minute, 5 minutes to consider joy and pleasure and feeling good not as a luxury, not as something that would be nice to have, but something that is critical to your vitality. That's the first part of this invitation. Can you change how you relate to pleasure if you tend to think of pleasure and joy as something that is just nice to have, but I'm okay without it? They're saying, consider again, what would it be like if you didn't think of it that way, if you thought of it as a necessity? The other piece of this inquiry, this invitation, what they're asking you, what the records are asking you is, do you know what helps you feel good? Can you list out the things that help you feel good? And can you do that with as much creative pragmatism as possible? Creative pragmatism, meaning, again, this is not about luxury. And when they say tack up with joy or fill your backpack, with joy, if you were going on a quest, this isn't like you have, 2 giant suitcases that you can check in on the airline and they'll just automatically end up at your destination. This is, what are you able to carry on your back? What is the horse able to carry? It's a finite amount of things, and it's essential. You wouldn't take stuff that is not essential with you in your backpack. So what are the essential things that you would take with you that help you feel connected to joy and pleasure and feeling good, your capacity, your ability to feel good? What are the things that would maintain and tend to your own ability to feel good, to be with what helps you feel good, to be with your ability to feel good? And this is like almost one step removed. It's not necessarily the thing that makes you feel good. It might be, but it's also this like one step backward or broader, one circle out of what helps you stay able to feel good. And that's a broader question. It's an abstract question. It's a question you might not have even considered before. But what keeps you fit and healthy and able? What keeps your ability to feel good healthy? And that might not be what you think it is. And that's where this creative pragmatism goes, where it's like you have to be realistic that you might not be able to take every luxury that helps you feel joyful, but what are the essential things you need to stay with um, and take care of, keep healthy your ability to feel good, your ability to find and recognize and soak in joy when it's available. You might not be packing the joy itself. You might be, but what else helps you stay in the space where you can be connected to joy? I'm repeating myself a lot because this is a weird one. And I want to make sure I'm communicating the difference of what they're saying here. And when they're inviting in creative pragmatism, what they're saying is the pragmatic piece is you might not be able to take everything that you would like to in this metaphorical journey. But what are the things that you would hold close that you definitely have in your your backpack or your pocket is what I meant, like the side pocket of your backpack. What would you have handy in your backpack right there with you? If it's not, if it's something that you had to take with you, what would be that essential thing, the pragmatic thing that helps you feel good? And when they say creative pragmatism too, it's it might not be what you think it is. Meaning it could be something that is what are the things that, there's two questions here. What are the things that help you feel joyful? That's an important thing to know. What are the things that resource you with joy? And this other one is, what are the things that help you feel good enough to feel good? That's the other piece. And that's really where they're inviting you to pay attention, where that might be more of a question of what helps you cultivate your self-esteem, what helps you get into a place where you feel good enough about yourself that you allow yourself to then feel good and soak in the pleasures that are available in life. And this is a root thing. If you don't feel good about yourself, there is a piece, at least for me, there's a piece in me that doesn't let me feel good if I feel bad about myself. And that is the essence of this question. What do you need to feel good enough about yourself to allow the joy and pleasure of life into your system, to actually absorb it and drink it in? Because you could have all the pleasure in the world, but if the gates inside you aren't permitting any joy to get in, it will not get in. And so what do you need? The question is, what do you need to keep that gate open, to keep your heart open to receiving the soft joy, the gentle pleasures of life? And again, this feels connected to how you feel about yourself. What helps you feel good about yourself? That could be doing the dishes. That could be having enough clean socks that they match. It could be having your friends over regularly and being around the people that help you feel good about yourself. It could be taking care of your body by eating something nourishing and lovely, if that's available to you, or stepping outside, being with sunlight and fresh air. What helps you feel good about yourself so that you feel able to receive life's pleasures? That's the question. That's the invitation. And it might not be what you think it is. So they're inviting you this week to pay attention to the things that unexpectedly help you feel good about yourself. It could be doing something you don't like to do because it relieves some stress for someone that you love, an act of service for someone else, helps you feel good enough about yourself to then feel good, to be with all the goodness that life has to offer you? That's the question. That's the invitation. And I'm curious, one, if this made sense, because I feel like this was a more nuanced one and subtle one than we usually get into. So I would love to know if this made sense to you, and I would also love to know what comes up for you, what occurs to you, what does your creative pragmatism conjure as resources? How are you tacking up? What are you putting in your backpack or putting in the saddlebags as you go on this quest? What are the things that help you stay resourced to be able to feel joy? Please let me know. I would love to hear from you. And until next time, I'm wishing you well. Namaste.